Yarg, me hearties, and welcome to a very special episode of Geography is Everything! Shiver me timbers, Barry! Intro! Yarg! Yes, okay. Hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking and Barry here, back again for a very special episode of Geography is Everything. Special for two reasons. Number one, this is going to be first airing. The first time you should be seeing this is during my 2020 charity live stream for St. Jude Children's Hospital. So make sure to donate below and all those awesome links. And if you're even seeing this later, I'll still leave the links down below so you can go check out St. Jude and all the great stuff that they do. And they need a lot of, donations to keep running. So thanks for that. And the second reason this is a special one is because we're talking about Pirate Island! It's been like 40 episodes of Geography is Everything, Barry, in the series that's all centered around pirates. I don't know if you got that. I thought One Piece was about space aliens, which it might still very well be revealed that that's the case. But regardless, no, it's a story about pirates, and I'm doing a geography series about pirates. 40 episodes in, I think 44 to be specific, which makes sense because in Japan, 44, she, death, Hisoka's number during the Hunter exam. Yeah, so you get that, alright? So I guess that all makes sense there, but, it took us a while to get to Pirate Island. And to be fair, though, the Pirate Island that's well known throughout the world, Hachinosu, or the Beehive, or Full-a-Lead Island, as it's called in the Viz, probably isn't the only pirate island or pirate paradise that exists in One Piece, Ever since Roger did his whole, I have a giant treasure somewhere out there in the ocean. Hope you find it. Maybe not. Whatever. I'm out. And then Roger just gets executed. He starts the freaking Great Pirate Era. I'm sure there's plenty of locations all around the world. Any sort of, cove or lagoon or sargasso or whatever. Some place that's removed from the rest of the main, shipping lanes and stuff, and the Marines can't find you. We're probably setting up shop as, a pirate destination, a pirate paradise, okay? But we're talking about the most famous one today, and the one that we honestly didn't get a big reveal of until the most recent arc. This was revealed in Wano where this place was and what it looked like, okay? Although it was discussed earlier, during the Davy Back fight arc, it was mentioned by Robin that the Davy Back actually originated somewhere in the Grand Line in the Pirate Paradise, okay? And so it was mentioned, I think, a few other times before that, and we kind of could figure that a place like that existed somewhere in the world, but it wasn't until Wano that we discovered that not only this is what it looks like right here, and when you see this place, you immediately think, okay, that right there, that's a pirate island, okay? I've seen a lot of piratey islands in my life, but that right there with the giant skull mountain wearing a bandana, that's a pirate island if there ever was one. And take my word for it, I have a Jolly Roger, which when I did the Jolly Roger video, where I was going over all the different Jolly Rogers in One Piece, a lot of people mentioned that just looks like Zoro. He's missing an eye, and he's got the sword. He's got 3 swords. That's just Zoro back there. So yeah, that's perfect. And I got, so many pirate hats. I have more pirate hats than people need to own. Nobody needs this many tricorns, but I have them. Okay, so at any rate, you could take my word for it. This is indeed a pirate island. We don't know exactly where Hachinosu is located in the New World, but we know that it is located right in between Zombie Pirate Island and Robot Pirate Island. And you might want to stay away from both of those, but just keep in mind, Zombie Pirate Island is an island that is filled with zombie pirates, but Robot Pirate Island is not robotic pirates. They're literally a robot and pirate fleets that are fighting against each other in constant war. Surprisingly enough, last time I checked, the pirates are actually winning against the robots, so you just want to stay away from both of those. And then you have Hachinosu Pirate Island, just regular Pirate Island, right in the middle. Now, that was obviously a SpongeBob reference I was doing there, in case you didn't catch that, but the funniest thing is, now that I'm thinking about it, Zombie Pirate Island is a thing that exists because Moria, Thriller Bark, and then Robot Pirate Island, Vegapunk's a thing, so, that could actually exist as well. So let's just see where Oda's going with there, okay? So, the Hachinosu, right? Its origin is connected deeply to Rocksteady Xebec, the greatest pirate before Roger was the greatest pirate, I guess. Maybe there was another greatest pirate before Xebec, and before that pirate there was another great pirate, and it just keeps going all the way back to maybe the Void Century and Joy Boy or whatever, okay? But I like to think that this island right here, the reason it has a giant skull mountain on it and the reason it's a haven for pirates, that was all because of Roxy Xebec. I think Roxy Xebec was one that maybe more like popularized the idea of being a pirate. Maybe pirates before Xebec were just like going around and plundering gold or whatever. Rox was kind of the guy that brought everybody together with a common goal of like, let's not just plunder islands and steal some, gold doubloons, matey. Let's actually do something like directed with this. Like, let's get a fleet together and let's go after the world government and let's take over the world, matey. Where's my tricorn and my sword? Yes! So he's maybe probably the first person that did that and got together this really ridiculously strong crew, probably through the Davy Back, like the original Davy Back. Maybe he created these pirate games on Pirate Island, the Hachinosu, and he's like, all right, you got Big Mom, you got Kaido back when he was an apprentice, you got, Whitebeard, you got Shiki, you got Silver Axe, you got... Man, there was like one other person. Oh, Captain John. Right. I'm sorry. I almost forgot about Captain John. But anyway, yeah. Get all these really strong pirates together, right? And then Wang Zhi! So you get all these really strong pirates together, and it's like, let's have a common goal, let's form a crew, the Rocks crew, and then let's go after the world government and just take over the world, right? And we, of course, know, well, we don't know the whole story, but we know that ended at God Valley with Rocks apparently being killed. Garp and Roger had to team up to defeat him, and so, there's a whole story there that we've yet to know about, right? But I like to think Rocks was the one that maybe carved the island's mountain, created that little town or city made out of, like, clay and brick, and the location of the island was kept a secret for like decades. Otherwise, the Marines would just show up. Because the island itself really doesn't look that big, and even though we've only seen it like once, like in between Act 1 and 2 when Moria arrived, and that's when Zombie Pirate Island was spilling over into just regular Pirate Island. When Moria showed up there, that's the only time we got to see it. We got to see Blackbeard there as a Yonko and everything. Got to see Absalom, got to see Avalo Pizarro again, got to see Shiryu with the clear fruit. Got to see Katarina Devon. But even though that was the only time we get to see it, just from the size of the island alone, I mean, I'm sure that fortress back there, because there's like an inside of that mountain. That's where Blackbeard was kind of hanging out, spending his days just drinking and eating and sleeping and then drinking and then eating and sleeping some more, right? That was like his home base of operations inside of the Skull Mountain, right? Which, now that I think about it, Onigashima is a Skull Mountain as well. That's also home to a Yonko, so... And also, Kaido wanted there to be like a pirate paradise as well with Onigashima, so... Kaido was definitely around doing this before Blackbeard was, so unless you want to get like, maybe Blackbeard is the reincarnation of Xebec in some way, so I'm thinking Blackbeard might have stole the idea from Kaido. I'm just throwing that out there, right? But anyway, yeah, there's a massive fortress back there, so we might find out more about, like, the interior of that, and there's a small town, but the island itself just doesn't look that big, so you'd assume that, like, if the Marines ever found out where Hachinosu was at any time in the last, like, 40 years, because it was mentioned that, like, Rox was there, and then, Rox was apparently defeated at God Valley 38 years ago. Was Hachinosu just lost to the ages and nobody knew where it was? And then maybe because Blackbeard... Like, look, you gotta give me this much. Like, even if you don't want to say Blackbeard is the reincarnation of Xebec, or Roxy Xebec's son, or nothing, like, blood-related like that, or, like, embodies his spirit or anything, you could always say the inherited will thing. I'm thinking, at the very least, Blackbeard has his hands on some sort of, like... maybe like a journal, maybe some parchment, maybe something from Xebec's life. Maybe Xebec had a great treasure buried somewhere in the world, Blackbeard found it, and then he's continuing on his legacy, or something like that. Blackbeard's ship is also, the flagship of his fleet is also called the Saber of Xebec, so there's definitely some kind of connection there. So maybe Blackbeard at some point found Roxy Xebec's journal or something, and it's like, oh, this is where Hachinosu is, this is where the pirate island is that's been a secret for decades, right? And so the Marines didn't know where it was, other pirates didn't even know where it was, and then Blackbeard found it and kind of brought it back up and running in the last 2 years, and now that's where he's basing his operations and everything, because if a place like that existing, the world government, like one buster call, it was all it would take, right? It's not a very big island, so yeah, it's probably hidden somewhere in the world. Moria was able to find it, though, but I think that's only because maybe, I'm not sure, because I was gonna say Vivra card, maybe Absalom gave Moria his Vivra card, but then Absalom ended up dying, which means the Vivra card would have been destroyed, and I think when Moria arrived on the island, he wasn't 100% sure if Absalom was alive or dead yet. That's why he was really pissed and came to find him. So I guess Moria was able to find it, and Blackbeard was able to find it somehow. I'm not exactly sure how that went, but at any rate, yeah, this is Pirate Island. And we get to see, like, when you think of Pirate Island, just flashback a little bit to when maybe you were a little kid and you were reading, like, a picture book or a storybook about pirates and stuff, and it was just like, what do you think of when you think of Pirate Island? I think of a place that's like a tropical paradise. It's got palm trees everywhere, a lagoon, there's buried treasure literally everywhere. Like, there's X marks the spots, like, everywhere you go. There's a skull mountain, there's a skull tree, there's a skull rock, like, there's just skulls and skeletons everywhere. That's what the Straw Hats need to do. Bear with me here. Just minor tangent, but we'll just roll with it. Brook needs to go undercover into the pirate paradise, Hachinosu. Literally, all Brook needs to do is just, he doesn't even need to take off all of his clothes, although he would just be a skeleton if he did that, and then just, like, toss him onto the island, and he'll just be there on the shore of the island, and it's a pirate island. There's skeletons laying all over the place. That's what Pirate Island is about, right? So he could just be there on the shore and just, like, listen in on everything that's going on, and he'll hear all the information involving Teach and the Blackbeard crew and Moria, and he'll get all that information, and then he can just, like, you know, when anyone notices him, he's like, hey, did this skeleton always have an afro? He's like, yo! And he just gets up and then runs across the water back to the ship, and then there you go. Brook, this is your opportunity, right? But yeah, this is Pirate Island. This is Oda taking all of those common things, those tropes and things and cliches we associate with pirates, like skulls and tricorn hats and more skulls and treasure and, like, just in a tropical paradise and booze, and let's just throw it all into one island, right? And so we see kind of like this a little bit in the anime when we're kind of getting establishing shots of the island. Lots of booze, lots of tropical paradise. There's a guy sleeping in a hammock. Oh, look, that guy has a royal flush. Thinking he might be cheating. He is a pirate after all. And then in the fortress behind him, you know, you got Blackbeard just chilling out, just, you know, drinking, and that's just what he does, right? Moria eventually arrives on the island to look for Absalom. Absalom had snuck on the island previously using his clear powers. He was invisible to kind of figure out what's going on. Blackbeard's crew discovered him, though, probably through observation hockey, because even being able to turn invisible doesn't make you immune to that. So there was a lot of really strong customers there. Shiryu probably, like, just, you know, killed Absalom right then and there, took his devil fruit power for his own. Absalom might still reappear as a zombie, because they did make that offer to Moria, and I don't think that offer was meant as a joke. They said, like, hey, you like corpses, right, Moria? Well, you can have Absalom's corpse if you want. We still got it. It's missing a head, but you can always stitch it back on, right? Whatever. And so we might very well see that later on with Moria. I don't know if Moria is going to join up with Blackbeard's crew, like, begrudgingly. Like, he obviously doesn't want to, but he might have to, or he might die. This is the second time in Moria's life a Yonko almost killed him. Or they might have just straight up killed Moria, taken his Kage no Mi, and then had a zombie army. You know, Blackbeard now has a zombie army under his command, okay? I don't think Moria is dead yet, though. I just have a feeling like Moria is still around, and he was like, all right, you got me, you lured me to this island, Absalom is dead, I really have no way of escaping now, because, yeah, Moria does have an army of zombies, managed to get him onto the island, but it was sort of like a trap, because it's like, you got Shiryu, Katarina Devon, you got freaking San Juan Wolf probably stomping around somewhere. There's no way he's getting off this island, so, you know, Blackbeard asks, you know, to join my crew, you know, Moria, you know, but if Moria denied, if he said, I'll never join you, Kishi Shishi, it'd be like, all right, then we'll just kill you and take your devil fruit. You're literally in a Yonko territory on a pirate island out in the middle of nowhere. You're not getting out of here alive. And so we'll kill you, take your fruit, and then resurrect you as a zombie, so you'll be following our orders anyway. That's kind of probably how Blackbeard rolls, right? So yeah, I think Moria's still alive, but he's just, like, begrudgingly working under Blackbeard right now. And Absalom might still, he might be around as well. It's just maybe, you know, Moria used his powers to revive him as a zombie. And as for Hogback is still alive, I guess. They escaped, you know, Thriller Bark together, so I'm assuming Hogback is with Moria as well, and now Perona is also trying to look for them, so maybe Perona and Mihawk will run into them at some point. Not really sure how that's going to go down there, but that's the situation on Pirate Island, matey! So that's all we know about the Hachinosu in the actual story, just that small town and then the Skull Fortress itself. We probably will find out a lot more about it in the future of, like, well, the whole history with rocks and all that. Also, I should bring up the reason it's called Hachinosu, or the Beehive, and also in the Viz translation, Full of Lead, which I think a lot of people were kind of like, you know, like that's kind of on the nose. Like it's Pirate Island and you're calling it Full of Lead Island. The literal reference that Oda is going for here is the beehive as in riddled full of holes, or like riddled full of bullets. That's what he was going for there, calling it a beehive. So Full of Lead Island is actually not a bad English translation to that, because that's like the whole reference. It just sounds maybe a little bit cooler in the Japanese. Hachinosu versus Full of Lead Island. But whatever, that's Pirate Island. It makes sense. But there's actually a lot of like references to the real world that I think Oda also put into this that I wanted to bring up here, because piracy was also a thing very common in the real world back during like the 16th and 17th centuries and all that. Even continues to this day. But back when piracy was kind of in its heyday, you know, sailing the seven seas, like the Pirate King, the real life Pirate King Henry Avery, who I did a whole video about that for Talk Like a Pirate Day a few years back, so you go check out that video about Henry Avery. There were also a lot of pirate paradises or pirate cities or pirate islands in our world. The two most notable ones were Tortuga in Haiti and also Port Royal, or Port Royal, I guess, in Jamaica. And this is the one that's the most common, and I think that probably Oda took a lot of references to this, because at the time in Jamaica, this port was just like, it was a pretty sizable port, and it was like very popular because like the trade routes, you know, and everything were right there, and a lot of pirates were taking it over, to the point where the governors of Jamaica, like the officials, actually started like employing the pirates to like protect the city, kind of. So it was basically like, okay, we're in Jamaica, here's Port Royal or Port Royale, and it's like, we got a lot of pirates here. Can't really do much about that, so we might as well like just live with it and just incorporate the pirates into our everyday life. And so that was basically what that port became. Also was referred to as the Sodom of the New World, basically, because of just so much debauchery and piracy going on. There was also this quote that I read, and I find this hilarious. I'm going to read this to you here, okay? This is someone commenting on just all of the drinking that went on there, because it's a port literally ruled by pirates. You imagine there's a lot of rum, there's a lot of grog. And so this was the quote. "The taverns of Port Royal were known for their excessive consumption of alcohol, such that the records even exist of the wild animals of the area partaking in the debauchery. During a passing visit, famous Dutch explorer Jan van Riebeck is said to have described these scenes. The parrots of Port Royal gather to drink from the large stocks of ale, with just as much as the drunks that frequent the taverns that they served." Alright, so that, I just find that kind of funny, where there's like a bunch of pirates all hanging out in the port in Jamaica. I think this was during the 1700s. They're getting drunk, and of course there's parrots and other like wildlife living on the island, and so they're drinking the ale, and then the parrots are getting drunk. And then for just added, just going into this further, I went on and looked up like indigenous animals that are like native to Jamaica to see what other animals were probably getting toasted during this time, where these drunk as hell pirates were just laying out giant troughs of ale for any animal, like, here's a drunk monkey or whatever. But no, it's, I also found that mongoose and crocodiles were native to Jamaica. So I just want you to picture that now. Drunk parrots, drunk mongooses, and mongooses, whatever, and then a drunk crocodile just wandering around the island. There's a toasted crocodile just like, how you doing, everybody? So, yeah, that was, now don't get me wrong, they were still pirates. They weren't good people, but I just found that kind of humorous that, like, everything on this island was drunk, and that's basically what's going on here with the Hachinosu pirate paradise that Oda crafted in One Piece, an island where everybody's hanging out, firing guns, drinking booze, gambling, you know, it's Pirate Island, okay? So, yeah, is also something, now, I've never played the Uncharted games. I hear they're really good, so if anyone's a big fan of the Uncharted games out there, you'll know where I'm going with this. There is a location in Uncharted called Libertalia, and that is Pirate Island, and in that game, I believe it was mentioned that Henry Avery was the one that founded the island. I think there's even like a statue of Henry Avery, the historical pirate king, on the island. And to give you just a brief recap of Henry Avery, he was the guy that kind of had the highest bounty of all pirates. It was like the first worldwide manhunt was Henry Avery, and they never caught him. They had a few close calls before, but he managed to escape, and as far as we know throughout history, he managed to live to the ripe old age of whatever, and then died, and then we never found him, and he managed to get away relatively scot-free with all the gold and stuff he plundered. Once again, he was a pirate. He wasn't a good person. He murdered. He's not good. But that's just an example, and I think that's also where Oda got a big inspiration. famous pirates that Oda took inspiration for Roger, but this was the man that was literally the Pirate King, and then Goldie Roger is literally the Pirate King. So there you go. But that was just in the video game Uncharted. I believe Uncharted 4. It was Libertalia, and then Henry Avery was the one that founded it, because he's probably more of like an historical, like, he's more famous, or infamous, I should say. But in real life, this location was called Libertatia. I apologize for any of the names I'm mispronouncing here, and it wasn't Henry Avery that founded it, it was James Mission, the pirate known as James Mission, who also went by some other names. I believe he also went by Oliver. You know, pirates seem to have a lot of names, right? And so that was also a location, apparently, purportedly in Madagascar. I say purportedly because it's largely considered to be fictitious. It could have existed in the area, but, you know, it was really set up as, like, pirate paradise, where pirates could come all over the place with no threat of being persecuted or everything, and they kind of made their own society, you know, and they just kind of lived there and just were pirates. But a lot of things have been romanticized over the centuries, where this pirate lifestyle has kind of been built up as like something that was like maybe a little bit more intricate than it was. And so there could have been a place like this. In fact, I know for certain that the Port Royal place in Jamaica and Tortuga in Haiti, those locations like really did harbor a lot of pirates, and they were sort of like pirate cities, but not quite exactly. This place was supposed to be like an entire area run by nothing but pirates for pirates, providing a safe haven for said pirates. And for that reason, it's considered like kind of fictitious. It probably never existed. It was just romanticized over the centuries. Well, anyway, that was the story of Pirate Island, both real and not real, and possibly real, but probably not. Hope you guys enjoyed, and catch you back here next time for the next Geography is Everything. And if you're watching the stream for the St. Jude, hospital, make sure to donate down below. And yeah, have a great one, everybody. Piratey Tekking signing out! Yarg!